Hey guys,
I'm Hallie,
and I'm Jamie.
and this is Literal Nonsense.
Hey, you creepy little cuties.
What up?
It is our last, but is it really our last Halloween episode?
Oh.
Oh, maybe a little bonus episode or something. I don't know.
Shut up, Jamie. It's supposed to be a surprise.
Oh, well, oops, surprise.
Spoiler.
I don't know what it is. We don't know. When's it happening? I don't know. Be on your guard. Whatever. So today we are covering a classic horror.
Classic.
I don't know if I'd really consider these books horror. I think they're more like gothic literature. Are they horrors?
I don't know. I mean, I guess for the time it was horror.
Okay, so
They
we're
just
covering
weren't, gory with it, I guess.
right.
But, it
And
could
so
be horror
we're
because
covering
I guess people die.
yeah, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley.
Little Frankie.
Little Frankie. Yeah, I get your point. It's probably horror because there's murder and that was scandalous enough,
Yeah, for the time period.
Right. Yeah, nowadays they're like, I ripped his organs out with my teeth. And you're like, oh, okay. None of that. None of that here. Yeah.
Why was that
My
your
first thought?
example? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think it just felt good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, yeah, here we go. Here's Frankenstein by Mary Shelley.
Boop, boop.
Yeah, so essentially, if you live under a rock, who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
SpongeBob SquarePants.
Absorbent in yellow and porous is he.
I'm not gonna keep going. I could keep going.
I could too. Anyways, where to begin? Yeah, so if you don't know anything about Frankenstein, do you know anything? So essentially,
Okay.
as I keep pushing off explaining,
You're like, but do you fucking know?
But do I know?
I don't.
So,
Oh
Frankenstein. Okay, so the book starts off with these letters.
Yes.
And it's this man, and he's corresponding to his sister. And he's talking about how this strange fellow had arrived on his boat in, the North Sea.
Yeah, like Antarctica-ish? No, that's south. Like North Pole-ish?
Yeah. I guess by, Russia and Alaska. Siberia.
By Santa Claus, dare I say?
Yeah.
Santa Claus, where art thou?
Yeah, they're looking for the guy with the red
big
suit
guy.
and the white beard. And he's saying that he has to go because this man is now going to tell him his story, and hence the story of Frankenstein prevails. So, a common misconception that a lot of people don't realize is that Frankenstein is not the name of the monster.
Yes, good point, Hal Gal.
Yeah, so Frankenstein is the name of the scientist who created the monster.
The daemon.
Yeah, the daemon. And he doesn't have a name. He doesn't have a name because he's just so atrocious that, how could you even name something that terrible? But essentially, we're walked through the story of Frankenstein's childhood. He's got a mom and a dad, and he has a sister who he calls his cousin, but who's adopted. It's very convoluted. We can discuss more after I give a synopsis. And
not his real sister is the key here.
Yeah, because
relation.
Things get a little incestual at that point. So, yes. Which I feel is very on par with the time, but that's besides the point.
For sure.
So, Frankenstein has always been fascinated by science and life and death and the natural law and physics.
A bit of an odd duck, shall we say.
I wouldn't say he's an odd duck. I mean, that stuff fascinates me.
Hello, Southern Belle? What the fuck? Okay.
Sorry, it was one of my other personalities speaking now.
What's her name? Anyways.
Savannah.
Perfect. I don't think he's an odd duck for liking it. I think he likes the darker parts of those things.
Okay. I just thought he was like a scientist in the pursuit of knowledge. That's how I view
Okay.
him. Um anyways, so he, studies all these ancient philosophers and people, and he talks about his time in school, and then how he ended up um basically deriving all these parts from humans and sewing together this creature because he wanted to create life. And, I'm sure you've all seen, the lightning strikes the electric
Yeah.
antennas and it comes through the gothic castle and fucking electrocutes this dead flesh. And then all
It's
of a sudden, exactly.
alive.
Um
You're welcome.
so he does this, and as soon as he creates this creature, he has immediate regret because he's like, what the fuck did I
He
just do?
said, "That's a fugly motherfucker."
Yeah, and
No.
he's obviously, patchwork together, so he's not very cute.
Immediately
And
averts his gaze. Did you
mhm.
avert the gaze? Did you watch Love on the Spectrum with us with that guy James? And
Yes, you
and
didn't you just
yes,
talk about this the other day?
did I?
Did you talk about this on the last pod?
I think I'm obsessed with this man, so maybe I definitely did. Now that you say it.
Why do you always find a way to bring this man into discussion?
I love him. Like, I wanted to see him at the Renaissance Fair. Anyways, my point being was, if you didn't listen to any other episodes where I mentioned this frequently, James, in his words, would say,
James, if you're listening,
I'm gonna
Jamie's
DM him
your
and
biggest
say,
friend.
right.
Friend, fan. I can't speak English today. I'm
He
brain dead.
said, I want a woman where I would not feel the urge to avert my gaze. And I think that's the best thing anyone's ever said. In this case, Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein, had to avert his gaze.
Yes.
Proceed.
So yeah, and then he like hates this creature that he made, so he neglects it, and this creature is cast out, and and the creature is upset that
He's upset.
his creator is neglecting him and isn't willing to see him as a living thing, um and want to grab a beer and talk about life. So
Which I get it.
yeah, so the creature ends up essentially like terrorizing Frankenstein for the rest of his life until he dies, which I
That's the
just
book.
think
The
is
end.
just like crazy. um Frankenstein like ends up going back home because like his father was writing him, his sister slash cousin slash lover was writing him, and
Jesus.
he eventually ends up going back home because his brother is dead, his actual brother. And so he goes back home and they're trying to figure out why his brother died. And come to find out, apparently I was also very confused by this part where like I guess it makes sense for the time, but like it's just crazy that they partook in this type of treatment. Um there was a family friend who was what's that word called? Not a
Suspected?
suspected, but then she was, chosen guilty for killing the brother.
Found
And
guilty?
oh yeah, I apologize. I really can't speak today. I was in school all day, so my head is like.
Mm.
Um. Anyways, she's found guilty, and they fucking kill her in the town square. They just hang her.
They said that's a bad thing. You shouldn't kill someone, so now we'll kill you.
Yeah. So then Frankenstein realizes that it wasn't her that did it. He was like, it had to be the daemon.
The diamond did it.
The daemon.
The
Is it
diamond
is
did
it
it.
daemon or demon? I don't even pronounce
Damon.
these things. Anyways,
Damon.
so
I want to say like that the entire episode.
God. So,
Just so you know.
long convoluted story short. I really love that word, convoluted. Um the creature. I like to call him the creature.
Damon?
He tells Frankenstein that like, "Oh, I'm going to be with you on the night of your wedding." And that's like a very profound statement to make because, if anyone knows what goes down on the night of the wedding.
Ew.
No
He's
kidding.
like, you want to think about that? Think about me, Dr. Frankenstein.
I'll be there. So now Frankenstein's like fucking bugging out because he's like, he's coming for me and I need to find him first and I need to kill him because he's so diabolical.
And I mean, okay, I have thoughts before we even continue with the fucking back and forth fuckery of this book,
Oh, I was
right?
just gonna like tie it up real quick and then we could
Oh,
discuss.
sure. Great. Go for it. Never mind.
So
Proceed.
then, okay, so then Frankenstein like plows through the all the continents to to get to this creature, and every time he's just like evaded by him. The creature Victor Frankenstein, that's his full name. He does end up marrying his sister slash cousin slash something whatever,
Playmate,
and
whatever the fuck she is.
yeah, and the creature kills her. And so then that's what prompts him to go on this escapade to find the creature and kill him. But every time he just gets so close, the creature somehow evades him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he finally catches up to the demon, and the demon tells him his life story. He's like, you know what, fuck you. Now you're going to listen to what you did to me and why there's no hope for me and why I will kill everybody because in spite of you. He goes on this whole story about how he escaped and he found refuge in this. To me, it sounded like a chicken coop in Germany. And he's like,
It's like I almost imagine it like a little like farm stand shed thing.
oh, I was thinking it
Um,
was a chicken coop.
yeah, I feel like either one is like very similar. Like he found
Okay.
refuge in like a shack.
He found
A
love in a
shack,
hopeless place.
right? Per
Well,
se.
anyways, he's like fucking peeping Tom.
Well, but hold on. I also think it's important to mention
What?
like
What?
the creature, the
Yes.
daemon,
Diamond.
in other words. Like he's a very intellectual being. Well, he is after he meets the family, but my point is in the movies, in whatever, you always have this like grunting creature, demon, he's not putting words together, all this stuff, he's
Oh,
a murderer, all
he's
this
well
stuff.
educated.
Yes, he's a well-educated daemon. And the point of why I want to say that is, we'll go into a big philosophical chat, I'm sure, but like he's killing because like he's sad. He's a sad boy. He's just like, damn, because I'm so fugly, no one wants to be my friend, and so I'll just kill you instead.
Which is
I
not a
think it's
valid.
very
It's
yeah.
sad, but that's not a valid reason to kill people.
Oh, I don't know if I agree with that. Like, hold on,
Wait.
not in my real life.
Okay, let's time out here. Jamie, take a break.
Well, okay. Well, so he meets this family. He wasn't educated. He's living in the chicken coop hovel shack, whatever he's living in. And he's like watching them and he's like, they're so wonderful and they're so beautiful. And I love them. And he's like cutting wood for them. They're poor. He gradually learns the language. He's saying this and it's pulling at my fucking heartstrings, this poor creature. And, the dad of this little family, there's a dad and two kids. The dad's blind, so eventually he's like, I'm gonna tell him I want to be part of their family. Like I can do this. And so he goes up to the blind dad and he's like, hello, sir, I'm so ugly, but I want to be your friend. Like, please, I've been helping you. Like, you are the family in which I want to belong.
I have
And
chosen you.
the old man's like, oh, you poor little thing. I can't see you, but whatever. And then his kids walk in before the old man could say anything, and they scream, they pass out, someone throws up, whatever. It's like horrible. And they chase him away, and then the whole family moves because they're like, we're being tormented by a demon. And I can understand being very upset about that. That's I guess, so I guess the point is, I don't think, yes, perhaps the creature should not be killing Frankenstein's whole family and friend crew. That's not a good way to deal with your sadness. But when he tells him his story and he says, like, you created me, you won't even look at me, talk to me. Everyone misunderstands me. No one wants to just hang out with me. Whatever.
It's giving pick me.
It is giving pick me, but at the same time, like he said, he's like, I wouldn't have been evil and killing people if like I just had one person.
I didn't know you
So I'm
felt so
like,
strongly about this Damon.
I do.
Interesting.
I don't know who I feel. So I think this is where, like, classic books really just, they put the time and energy into, like, your morals.
Mm,
It's kind of
true.
like we discussed with Stephen King, like, like the really well thought out writers, like, again, Pet Cemetery. We just had this episode, and it was like, is dead better? And you're like, oh fuck, what would If I watch my kid get fucking smashed by a truck, like, this is kind of a difficult situation we're in. I don't know. And you knew you could bring him back to life. Yeah, that's gonna fuck with my morals. In this case, right? You create something, you make that your responsibility, and then you just wash your hands of it. I don't know. I don't agree with Dr. Frankenstein either.
I'm just thinking about like how when I was reading this book, and of course it's gonna, this is gonna reference back to SpongeBob. But in the SpongeBob movie,
What the fuck?
in the SpongeBob movie when King Triton like has the brown paper bag on top of his head because he
Yeah.
can't find his crown because he's
And he's
bald.
bald. Yeah.
And so like all the people are like in like he's like holding court or whatever, and like he like takes off the brown paper bag, and everyone's like bald, bald, bald. Like that's how I
Yeah.
imagine everyone reacts to Frankenstein's creature.
Well, and
Like,
that's and I get it. Like, listen, like, if this is like a legit corpse that's like fucking, has all these crazy arms. I think they said his like lips are black. Like, this is not a good looking thing. I also can understand you being like, I'm gonna die. It's gonna kill
hmm,
me. Um,
yeah,
but I don't know. Like, basically, obviously, the whole synopsis, it's really just a battle. If you like really boil it down to like the core thing, it's just a battle of Frankenstein neglecting the monster, and he's upset with himself because he created this abomination that he should have never even done.
hmm,
And so he's dealing with that guilt. And he's like, oh, I created this bad creature who's going to kill people. And like, he's so guilty. And then because he fears the creature that he built, he ignores it. Because he ignores the creature's pissed and then does kill people. And the more he kills people, Frankenstein resists him more. And it's like this never ending spiral. And that's really what, if you boil the book down, that's what it is.
hurt people, hurt people.
Right. Um,
Well, anyway, so
and
he
so
tells a
how do we
story. He tells a story. Let me just wrap it up. He tells a story, and um wait, yeah. So the creature tells Frankenstein his story while Frankenstein is like retelling this to the guy on the ship.
Yes.
And the creature is like, "I'm so lonely. You need to make me a mate because I deserve to have somebody just as equally ugly as I am to keep me company for the rest of my days." And Frankenstein's like, "Don't think so, buddy." And he was like, "You will, or I'll kill you, or whatever." And then Frankenstein's like, he's like, "Okay, okay, like I'll do it, I'll do it." And he goes to like ends up actually making this next abomination but then destroys it, and the creature is so upset. So like Frankenstein now is like running for his life, and then that's how he ends up on this boat telling a story, but he's like so shocked and like unable to process this traumatic life event that he ends up dying on the ship. And that was the end
Well,
of
because
Victor
then his
Frankenstein.
goal, well, and that's what I'm saying. It's like it's a never ending angry thing because now Frankenstein's chasing the monster to get revenge on the monster.
Yes.
That's why he's in the North Pole. I don't know where the fuck they are. It's the Arctic somewhere. Um,
The RT.
and then like this monster, can withstand cold, whatever. And so it's again, that's what I'm saying. Like, the creature pleads to him, please make me a friend, a lover, whatever. Okay, bro. Like, I get it. We all want someone to love. Um, and Frankenstein, debates it. He doesn't do it, whatever. And then, the killing rampage continues, and then that's what I'm saying. It's like, again, hurt people hurt people. Like, now he's upset that he doesn't have a friend. And then, well, so that conversation actually happens before he marries Elizabeth, which isn't like a huge deal, but
Yeah.
the monster references like, you won't make me someone, and like, you dare think that you can be happy, like, I'll kill your wife. I mean, it's just like, what the fuck is going on here? I mean, here's my thing. I don't think anyone should reanimate corpses and sew them together and make them live. That's pretty self-explanatory. But I think if you're gonna do that, like, man up, Victor, grow a set of fucking balls, take accountability, be this thing's friend. It again, didn't start out aggressive, and then your whole family could have lived. I understand you're a weird sick science man, like you fucked up, but like, was this a better alternative? Your whole family's dead now. I don't know, or like just make him his fucking creature. And then Victor Frankenstein's thought was, if I make him a creature to be lovers with, what if he's not violent at heart, but what if she wakes up and she's just ready to kill everyone and they go kill everyone together? So like, and then they have babies and the babies kill people. I mean, it was like a whole like spiral that he went through, which I get. I get both sides. Like, I also understand the creature. He's like, why the fuck did you create me, just to run away from me and like make me feel like shit?
Well, the first prototype is always a failure.
Well, this I would dare say was a big time failure. I mean, I guess, like I said, I just feel for the monster because it's like,
Damn.
and I feel for Frankenstein too, right? I would also be scared shitless, but then I also argue perhaps you should not have done this. If you're gonna do it, you gotta full send.
Sounds like this book like really hit you in your heart, Jamie.
It did. It's supposed to, no? The fuck? What happened when you read this book? Nothing.
Whereas I'm like, aw, and then that's it.
No. Oh, I thought we were gonna have like a big moral debate talking about this book.
I mean, we can, for sure.
Okay.
I love a good philosophical talk.
let's get philosophical. It's classic literature. I mean, we can't just talk like a bunch of schmucks.
We have to we have to impress Miss Shelley. Well, okay, so actually after I read the book,
Mhm.
I was doing a little research because
Oh, okay, cutie.
the okay, so I was telling you this before. I
Mhm.
really like gothic literature. Like
Okay.
I have just
Why?
found this newfound love for it. I don't know why. I
Okay.
think the way
What's
they
the reason?
talk,
Why do you enjoy it? Okay, the way
I
they
think
talk.
the way they speak is just like so eloquent and like thought out, And not only that, but the words in which they use to describe things makes everything seem so much more dramatic than it really is. But then when you're in reality, life can be pretty dramatic, right?
Well, yeah.
So, there were a lot of times when I was reading this book and like I was actually like laughing out loud because I was like, wow, like the drama is crazy
I don't know if I felt that way.
in
You
this
laughed out
story.
loud reading this book?
Yeah, there was a few lines. There was like a couple one-liners.
Did you save them? Because I have
No,
to. Oh man, you
I can go
suck.
back though.
Yeah, maybe you can
And
go
look,
back
and then we
while
can do
I.
an addendum. But yeah, like I just remember there's many parts in this book where I'm just like, wow, like this is tea right here.
So I agree. Very dramatic.
I also just like
I
this time period. Like I like
yes,
the gothic time period. Like
and I
I want to
do.
be in this cute city where, it always rains and it's always overcast and there's like these crazy fucking castles with like the wrought iron fences and people are wearing top hats and like riding around their little buggies. Like I'm obsessed. I love it.
Okay.
I
I
mean, as a
mean,
woman I'd have no rights, but like
do we
aesthetic
really have
reasons,
rights
I
now?
like it.
Do I argue that we have tons of advantages in this world? I don't know.
Okay,
Probably
well, we
not.
have more than what it would have been back then.
Hey, not working. Sounding real nice right now.
I think that's just because we're all burnt out.
Amen. So, okay,
Well,
I do think the vibe is like, and yes, I was going to say something about the movies we watched, but I'm going to save that.
I never even got to tell you
Yeah.
my research.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, you got so excited about. I was going to talk about the time period and like the vibes.
Anyways, no, this is like just like a little tidbit. But in the original copy of the book,
Mm.
um, Frankenstein's sister, lover, cousin, whatever her name is, Sarah, right? Or is it Elizabeth? What
It's
is it?
Elizabeth. Definitely not Sarah.
No.
It's for sure Elizabeth.
Anyways, Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
In the first copy, she's actually like not. So the story of how she comes into the family, right? So like Victor's mom and dad are like on a trip in Italy. No, they live in Italy, right? Didn't they live in
I don't know.
Italy?
They meet a family.
They're in Italy and they meet like this poor family, and this poor family has taken in like all these orphans essentially, and like they're taking care of them. There's like all these infants, right? And the mom is like falls in love with this little girl, and she was like, she's living in squalor. Like, what quality of life is she gonna have? She's gonna be poor her whole life. Like, let's adopt her, essentially. So they take her home, and they consider her his cousin, but
Mm-hmm.
he's like her adopted sister. But they
Yes.
don't have any blood relation. But
None.
whatever. But in the original, that's not how the story is. And now that I'm thinking about it, it's just poof out of my head. It was right there.
Well, I don't
At
know.
my
You tell
fucking
you tell me what
in my
happens.
fucking hypothalamus, and now it's gone.
All right. Well, when you
Or
remember,
cranial lobe, frontal cranial lobe.
no idea any of that. Anyways, when you remember, you let me know. As far as the vibes of the book, so I agree. I think a gothic literature, the vibe is set. It makes it inherently spooky. I think it adds like to the general, I don't know, just gloomy setting. So I agree. I also really agree in regards to the writing. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's well done. It's poetic. There's just more effort than there is now. Now, granted, I
Wow,
will.
that's like a really harsh
I really.
accusation to make.
Do you think?
I don't know. Like, do you really
I
think a lot
don't.
of people don't? Do you feel like majority
I
of authors don't?
make effort.
Yeah. Or do you think they just suck? Like maybe they
I
just shouldn't write.
maybe. I don't know if I feel like they shouldn't write. I just think a lot of people, going back to our previous conversations, really lean into, let me write a page turner, a
Oh
crazy
yeah,
plot twist.
that's what it was. In
Um,
the original, they're actually related. I forgot. Yeah, that
oh, well,
yes.
good job for changing that, Mary. Thank you, Queen. So
Yeah, they're
great.
cousins.
Okay. Well,
Like actual cousins.
checks out for this time period. So I'm glad she changed that.
Well,
Or someone changed it.
his parents are related, right?
Yeah, I
No,
think
no, no, no,
maybe.
no, no,
Who
no, no,
knows?
no. No, there's a giant age gap between them because his
Yes.
mom,
Yes.
like her dad was best friends with her now husband. And
Yes.
like they were like in school
That's
together
so
or
common
business
back then.
partners.
Um,
Jimmy's like, don't worry, it was common.
no, but like but again, going off the time period. But I don't know. I just think nowadays, again, I'm not saying that like the books we read aren't good. I just think, again, it's like I find older books have more of these moral dilemmas, this beautiful like prose and writing.
Like
I
there's
think
more
now,
soul. You think there's more like soul in
yes, I
it?
do. I
Whereas
do.
now it's like more like for entertainment purposes.
Correct. And like page turning, like shock
Yeah.
factor.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I feel like this book, and like I'll talk about it more. I really enjoyed this book. I feel like, again, I thought about it. I had like moral thoughts about the creature and Dr. Frankenstein. Um, it read slow for me, but I didn't mind that. Like, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a book that I was like, I can't get back to it. Like,
Hmm.
I've also read it before, which maybe added to it because I know the general story. And I think the story was super well done. I don't think there was like any slow parts. I think, the progression of Dr. Frankenstein's journey, how the monster met back up with him and told him like his story, the quest for revenge and on both ends. I think it was like, I wouldn't take out, add, whatever, anything to it. I think it was a super well done, no plot hole, concise, fucking good, well written story, which is obviously why it's a classic, right? I do think it reads slow for me personally.
Hmm.
I think it has to do with the language. I think if
Yeah.
we were fucking born back then, I would read this shit like in a sitting because I would be like, oh,
Yeah.
I know what she's saying.
It's like almost like reading like old English.
Yeah, it
You
is. It
know?
is. Which again, I
Hear
appreciate for the
ye, hear
language.
ye.
No, literally, literally. That's why Damon is spelled like that. Damon. Um, just like Tourette's. And so yeah, I like this book a lot, but it's like, what are you in the mood for? Are you in the mood for a fucking moral debacle,
Hmm.
or are you in the mood for a page turner? And like,
Hmm.
I think our conversation now is going to be way different than like our hidden pictures conversation because we were like, holy fuck, Ted, fucking murder, ghost, whatever. Whereas this, I'm like, all right, kind of whose side are you on? When you read this book, who did you feel more for?
Damn. She said that.
Yeah, no, I'm asking you, so I want you to answer.
Oh. Oh, this is like a real question. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm curious because I have certain opinions, and I'm curious as a fellow reader what you felt.
Um okay, so Off the bat,
Right off the cusp.
I think, and not to like preface with like a disclaimer, but like, being that it's this time, we can factor that in to why the characters act the way they do. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel just opening like the beginning of the book, right? The letters to the sister, the guy on the ship. Like
He's the captain. I think he's the captain.
I don't know, but he's like very holier than thou, and he's like,
Mm,
like what I deserve and what, this is right and da da da, like going on about like his life to his sister and then about the guy on the ship. But like, I feel like that's a quality that I also see in Victor Frankenstein in the beginning, right?
mm-hmm.
Because, obviously, I feel like a lot of well educated people are sometimes the most ignorant, but which is a paradox in and of itself.
Probably entitled as well, which adds to an ignorant vibe, I would say.
Yeah, not saying like they're actually ignorant, but like
No, but I think
that
entitlement can
quality, you know what I
sometimes
mean?
come off as ignorance.
Yeah, like I'm better than you thing. Like what is that
Right,
called?
yeah. What entitlement?
No, there's another word.
Hmm.
Like stuck up. Like what is that called?
Douchebag.
Whatever. Anyways,
No,
that's
yeah,
besides the
but I
point.
can, yeah, yes.
And I think a lot of that is what drives Victor Frankenstein in the beginning because he wants to be successful and he wants to do this right and he wants to figure it
Mm-hmm.
out, right?
Right, right.
And once he creates the creature and he realizes, he was like, oh shit, like this was not the wave, guys. I should not have done this. I think he ends up feeling a lot of shame. And I think that's where it starts to conflict his own morals because he's searching for, in the beginning, like it says that he's searching for, this whole life and death thing. Like what creates life? How can you create
Mm-hmm.
life kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Almost like playing into like the hands of God kind of thing.
Right.
And having that God complex. And I think, you know, it's a human thing to know when you did something like inherently wrong, right? And I think that kind of overtakes him, and I think he's surprised by how much he's affected by this, creation,
Mm-hmm.
that he starts to feel very shameful and regretful, and he's at like a war within himself, and that's why he ends up isolating himself from everybody. That's why his dad keeps sending
Yes.
him letters. That's why Elizabeth keeps
Yes.
sending him letters, and he's not answering them because he feels like the worst person alive.
And so listen, and that's where I feel for Victor Frankenstein. I understand that at some point he like feels shame and he's like, again, you inherently as a human being know right from wrong, and this was
Yeah.
wrong. You shouldn't have done this. But then I go on the other end and I say, but you did do this, and so now you can't wash your hands and say, I shouldn't have done this. I need to avoid it. You need to acknowledge this and confront this and take ownership. You did do this.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Right. And so I struggle. Do I see that side of it? Absolutely. And I do feel empathy for Frankenstein because of that. My inherent reaction though is that Frankenstein's a whiny bitch and he needs to be like a man and say, "Yes, I did create this. This was not a good mistake." Even okay, like
Can
I'm
you
not
also say
saying
that about the creature, though?
I don't
The
know.
creature also sounds like a whiny bitch.
I think the creature's hurt goes deeper,
Interesting.
in my opinion, because again, your creator made you,
But is
took
that an
no
excuse?
responsibility for you, and then said, you know what, fuck it, go be alone. I know the world's not going to treat you kindly, but and here's I guess my stance too.
Okay, I mean, a lot of people can make that comment about, this proverbial god.
Yes.
But we're not
Well,
going to go into religion, so let's not go there.
and I guess here's I guess where I'm. We don't need to go into like religion, but we can go into the playing God thing, right? I
Mm-hmm.
argue that Victor Frankenstein was playing God by creating and playing with life and death in this way.
Mm-hmm. But do
And
you think
so
he realized that when he was doing it?
no, I don't. I don't think he realized that when he was doing it, but
He just
I
got caught
think in
up.
this he did get caught, he got caught up. And here's my thing with that. I just think if then he realized it was a mistake, do I think that you should fucking kill this thing? I don't think that's great either, but I think that's
Sometimes
better
dead
and a
is better.
mercy, right? Yes. I'm serious though. Sometimes that mercy would have been better. Also, at that point, the creature didn't have intellect. It would have had no idea. You know what I'm saying? Dead would have been better because if you weren't going to take ownership, then you need to clean up your mess. That's how
Mm,
I feel.
yeah.
So, do I think, the creature did everything, perfectly? No, not at all. But I think being thrown into the world, your creator leaves you, and now you're being shunned, and you literally don't even have one single person you can confide in, including the person who created you. The loathing goes so deep that even they're avoiding you. I think that emotion, again, we're talking about a basic creature who's learning intellect. They don't have emotional intelligence. Yeah, I'm not surprised that it lashed out and fucking murdered people.
But what tickles my brain is like why kill people? Like
I think,
why did he know like that would be like the most extreme thing that he could do to like get a reaction?
well, I don't know in that
You know
sense,
what I
like how
mean?
he came to that conclusion,
Like
but,
he could have just been an arsonist. You know, like fuck you, you're not
well,
gonna, be there for me. I'm gonna set your house on fire instead.
no, and I agree with that, but no, I think the point of it, like the deeper, I don't know how the creature learned this, I can't talk to that point, but the creature wanted Frankenstein to be as alone as he was. I'll
Hmm.
kill your entire family.
Yeah, I guess it's also like a play on like the two ends of the spectrum, right? On
Well, and
one end you
that's what I'm
have life, and one
saying.
end you have death.
Right. And I guess that's where I really got hung up. Because again, do I understand that he was like, oh my God, I shouldn't have done this? This inherent wrongness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I understand that. But then you need to either, again, man up and say, okay, I'll hang out with my ugly creation, or you say, I literally can't look at it. I need to kill it. Because again, then he also had a lot of guilt in regards to letting this creature out in the world. Well, so why did you let it out in the world? Kill it, destroy it. You know what I'm saying? I think
But by
that
that time he was already gone.
I know, but I think Victor Frankenstein was more wrong in this situation.
Hmm.
But you think the other way. I'm getting a sense. Or do you? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't really feel like one is more wrong than the other. I think
Mm.
they're both equally wrong. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, yes, should have Victor Frankenstein dealt with his issue if he did not like it? Yes. We're all responsible for our actions.
Right.
Um, but did this creature like have to throw himself a pity party and going on and went on a killing rampage? Like I get you wanted to hurt him in the most foul way you could
Mm-hmm.
because you feel that your hurt is equal to that hurt,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know.
And believe me, I don't think going fucking tit for tat is a mature way to deal with things. I would argue both these men, for lack of a better term, are not mature, like in
Yeah,
any sense of the word.
true.
I just think, again, like, even after he created the monster, before the monster killed anything, Victor's sitting there. Oh my God, I saw such ugliness. I could never see beauty again. And I'm like, all right, bro, like, you were also handling dead body parts for months at a time. Like,
Okay, well, this is
did
what
we
I'm
not
saying.
think about that? But
It's so dramatic. Is this not so dramatic?
yes, but he irritates me a little. And again, do I understand like his side? Yes, but my like gut punch reaction is to be annoyed by him.
Hmm.
And my gut punch reaction is to feel bad for the creature, especially with the family. Like, if it wasn't for the
That was
family,
crazy. That's probably like the saddest part of the book, truly.
well, right. And okay, so I'm glad that you felt it was sad as well. Because, I mean, it was, I guess, which is probably just a
Yeah.
general human emotion.
It's like
I
how many
think,
times do you keep reaching out your hand
yes.
until
Because,
it falls off, right? Or they chop it off. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, I don't know if that's the saying, but
Whatever.
yeah.
You know the saying.
Um,
Everyone knows the saying, Jamie. Everyone gets it.
yeah, we know. We're making it spooky for Halloween, um, yeah, and I think that, but I almost think that was needed in this book, or else you wouldn't have had sympathy for the creature.
Hmm.
Um, in any level, even if you don't feel the most sympathy for the creature, he was like, you know what, fuck my creator. I'm gonna, power through.
Hmm.
And he
Wait.
wasn't accepted.
Can we just like spend a moment talking about this crazy story of the family first off?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like
because they're like
how
not related to the overall story or message, but like they made the
they
story crazy for
they
no reason.
yes, like they have like an insane plot.
Yeah, we could talk about their plot. Again, it's like it's funny because it really if their plot was basic as fuck, it wouldn't have added or taken away from the story. So I'm not really sure why she made it so involved.
Like we got
Um
like two stories in one.
yeah, we did, which I enjoyed. It was like a little like side quest.
Mhm.
Yeah, do you want to so the dad was in prison, right?
Yeah.
And the brother was like trying to get him out and he met this like Arabian, was that right? What was her name?
I think
He met like a
I think that name started with an S.
I think it did too.
So maybe that's why I'm confused. I was confused before.
So he meets this like lady and they fall in love and basically they like he's trying to plea on his father's behalf and then some
Well,
crazy shit happens.
it's her father is the reason why his father is in prison.
Yes, and but the son
Because there
falls in
was
love with
yeah,
her.
there was like a deal gone bad or something like that, and like
Yes.
that dad like took the fall and ended up in prison, whereas
And
the other guy
then
got free.
yes.
And so like they had to escape, and
Yeah, they escaped prison because he tried to plea on his behalf. It wasn't going to work. They were going to like execute, hang, whatever. You know how back then everyone just fucking got hung.
yeah,
And then they escaped, and so now they're super poor, obviously, because they like were stripped of all their titles. And so they're living in this shack, and that's why they all look very sad because they're very poor and yada yada. And the sister
the
and the brother,
Arabian sat at the feet of the old man.
yes, I told you it was an Arabian.
But
And
do
the
you
sister
also
and the
think like during that time, like that was like ooh, like what's there? Like there's like that alert, like
like it's
because no one,
exotic.
yeah,
Yeah, I do think that she was like an exotic.
Safi,
Safi.
yeah,
I was gonna say Sophie, but I knew that was like not right. But okay, I was very close.
close.
And so yeah, so then they're sad, whatever. They escape, and that's what the monster's watching. Like these two young children, teenagers, whatever, taking care of their blind father, and he's learning like compassion and love. He learns English, and then the fucking Arabian comes and finds love with the son again, and now he's
Yeah, she like
happy.
comes on like so random.
But yeah, again, so is this perhaps important? I don't know, perhaps not. But wow, what a whirlwind for these crew. Um,
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder if there's a meaning for that. Like I feel as though reading this book as the average reader, I feel like I understood the main message of like the moral of revenge and inherently right and wrong and kind of like this like shunned being. I wonder if there's a reason for them to have that backstory.
Hmm. We'd have to look that
Um,
up. Well, we'd have to get back to that one.
yeah, and I don't know. I think this book, yeah, it's a weird story. I'm also curious how like pop culture has made it so different. Like in the sense that the monsters like cuz a main part of this book is like how intellectual and how much the creature
Mm-hmm.
feels. And
Because how
so
much
how
he
did we get
learns.
right, and also like just like the feeling of being isolated and alone and unloved.
Hmm.
And
So
so how the fuck did we get to this grunting green thing?
do you think the reason why the creature has like this level of emotional capacity, I guess, is from the family? And so do you think that's why she
Hmm.
added that part in to, to like kind of source out like where
I
he
think that's
realized
part
his
of it.
values and whatever?
So I think that's a really interesting question that's like making my like brain cogs begin to turn. Um I think that's an interesting question just because yes, I think on one hand he learned like true family values and also that's how he got like aware of the language and
Mm-hmm.
education and stuff like that. But on the other hand, I think at that point he had already killed Victor Frankenstein's younger brother
Mm-hmm.
and was like on the run. And so I also think he already had this like emptiness and like anger in him. And I think going off that point, do I think he learned more emotional connection from the family and wanted it even more? Yes. But I think also part of this book and what the point was that one of the first things we want as like living beings is like connection. Like
Mm-hmm.
he craved that like right off the get. And like by his creator not caring for him,
Hmm.
he was angry. And like I think as human beings, like one of the points of the book is we just need connection to anything. And that's what he even said, like create something like me who also won't be loved, like we'll have each other. Like I just need one person to like be in my corner. Cuz again, being completely isolated, I argue it's like one of the worst punishments, things for your mental health, whatever. And it's
So,
like also one of our most basic needs.
so what do you think? So this feeling of like needing to be nurtured or like in connection with someone else. So you're like saying that's like inherent.
I
That's an
think
inherent
so.
part of being a human.
I think so. And I think, yeah, I believe that personally, but I think that is also being said in the book because, again, you're patchworking this fucking body parts together, whatever, and that's one of the first things that it wants and is
Hmm.
upset about is that
But
his creator didn't want him and
but
no one
what,
wants him.
but what do you think that means? Like, do you think you could broaden that more to the idea that it's not just inherent to human beings, but just to creation in life?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, think about, dumb fucking analogy because we're both like cat people, but even think of like our cats. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
I think things just thrive with other beings. I think even in, like in the animal kingdom, like these like fucking nature documentaries, right?
Hmm.
Like the lone, what's it? I'm thinking Game of Thrones now. The lone wolf dies, but the pack survives, kind of thing. I mean,
Um,
I think that's also just even in actual real world, like an animal by itself, whether or not they're having an emotional connection or not, they're also just less likely to live and thrive.
mm.
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think about like that whole the kind of like nature versus nurture debate.
Mm-hmm.
Like do we is it something that's inherent in us,
Yeah.
nature, or
Mm-hmm.
do we learn these things based of based off of our relation with others like us?
So yeah, and I again personally I agree. I think there's probably a heavy dose of both.
Mm.
Um, but at the same time, I think this book is showing us like the inherent need to fit in is like nature, and I think
Mm.
if he was given that nurturing, so like given a community or even one single connection, I truthfully don't think the monster would have killed people if it had a relationship with
Hmm.
one other person.
Yeah, I mean, you said a lot of things. Like all of this can be a plea for like this need to fit in. Like, what do you think the story? Like, what was she trying to say in regards to fitting in and having a community in order to thrive?
Well, and I think that's even her point in my mind, like with like Dr. Frankenstein. Like the monster knew the worst thing to hurt him would be killing everyone he had connections with. Even his
Hmm.
friend Henry. Like he was like, I don't care if it's your family. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll kill everyone you love. Whatever.
Jesus.
But I was saying like at that point, Dr. Frankenstein could have been like wealthy and doing whatever, but like he couldn't even function with the knowledge that like his family was dead.
Mm.
Like he was a fine, healthy, normal looking guy. He probably could have just moved on, got married, got a job. But he didn't because he was like devastated about his family and friends, which of course he would be. But
Mm.
I think again, like, yeah, like I think one of the most basic things is like just having some kind of community, tribe, one connection. Like I said, you see all these fucking people who make mad money, who are wealthy, whatever, and they're miserable. I think that goes to that point too. So I think she was saying that. I don't know how she came up with this fucking story
That's
to
what I'm
make
saying.
that
Like,
point.
do you think like that's just like a takeaway from the book?
I would
Is it
think
a
so.
plot
Well,
device? You know what I mean?
I think no, I think that's the takeaway. I think the takeaway is just this inherent need to be accepted
Hmm.
and then also like revenge or like, again, like being hurt and like lashing out. I took like those kinds of three overarching themes. So, did you feel like there was other takeaways though? Like if those like I got that from the book, but like what did you take away as the overall, I guess, messages? Because she wrote this clearly. It's a fiction, it's a horror, okay, but she very clearly was sending a message.
No, and yeah, I agree with your takeaways. I'm just saying, like, I was just asking, like, was that another like takeaway that you got? You know,
I don't
like,
know. I think those were my main. I think yes, that
because
was
it
one
kind
of
of
them.
touches on like a lot of different aspects
Yeah,
of being a person,
yeah,
dealing
like
with
yeah,
emotions,
just the
intellect,
human condition.
physical.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. No, I think those were my three main ones. Was the main ones were the need to be accepted, and then just the way that you're treated, like emotionally, how it affects you, and like the need for revenge, and like again, they just spiraled the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
They never broke it based on
Yeah.
this need to fit in. I think those were my overall like thoughts on the book. But
Mm.
like, what did you take? Was that your automatic takeaway, or did you have another one that you like closed the book
Well,
and felt like you got?
I also kind of felt like it was almost like not not like to be like, oh, nice to your local weirdo, you know what I mean? But like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you should just be kind to everybody because you never know.
Well, right, and like I think that was yeah, I agree with that actually because even with the creature, like he was ugly as shit. Okay, he was like terrifying. Again, like dead. Like
Yeah.
he's a dead creature. Um, but like talking to him, he was like, I just wanted to chop some wood for you and be nice, and like
Hmm.
I just want a friend.
Like don't judge a book by its cover kind of thing.
And this is like clearly the extreme. This is legit a walking corpse.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think, don't judge exactly people based on their looks, et cetera, et cetera. Again, she went real balls to the walls with that message, but effective.
I mean, like if you think about it too, like okay, so as you said, the creature is literally a walking mass of dead flesh.
Hmm.
But what about in Pet Cemetery? And Gage is literally a toddlering sack of flesh,
Hmm.
but
But
they
he like
both
looked,
kill,
yeah.
but
Well, and also I think in Gage's case, right?
like,
Like he looked cute. They were like, "Oh, we'll keep him," and it's like, no, he's a murdering demon child.
hmm
You shouldn't just because it's yeah in that case, right? They brought it back to life because it looked like their son. Again, judging this that oh it's gonna be fine because it's our son. That's not your
hmm
fucking son. We're not judging that. That was judging the book the wrong way.
yeah.
We judged the book very wrong. It was like a happy picture with like fucking satanic rituals inside.
Yeah, right.
This book is like a beat up copy, and it's like a nice little sunflower.
Hmm.
um, I think also it just packs a punch for a small little book like this.
No, yeah, that's what I think is also what's
Well
not
done
unique, but
for
like
back then.
gives it more of a like a standing, I would say,
Yeah, and I also think,
right? It's
going critiquing now, it's like you don't need a I feel like every book we read is at least 300, 400 pages. Easy, always.
mhm.
Um again, I think you can say a lot in little words, and I think that's really comes across
Mhm.
in classics more
Well,
than now.
it's just I think it's just an effect of being a good writer
Well, right. And yeah, and
and
I
knowing
already
how
hear
to be concise with your words and pack the most punch with one word kind of thing.
exactly, yeah. And so, well, going off the point of how he felt about the book in general, what did you rate this book?
I actually did give it 5 stars.
Did
um
you?
I read Frankenstein last year.
Really?
I read Frankenstein last year
Huh.
and I really liked it. I
Okay.
just like for all the reasons that I said before, and I just felt like it
Yeah.
was right. I read it at a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When I
Hmm.
reread it this time, I was thinking about knocking it down to a 4.5,
Mm-hmm.
but I was like, no, I'll just keep it at 5.
Hmm. Now you're swaying me, I think, which is bad. The first time I read
Oh,
it, I gave it a 4 star.
okay.
Now it depends. I feel like for me, this is where I fucking struggle because then this time because it was a slow read for me and I was
Hmm.
like I had to really like put my mind and energy into it. I gave it a 3, but I really think it's a true 4 for me.
Wow.
But hold on, I think it's a true 4 for me. I'm talking through it. I got to talk through my feelings.
Yes, yeah.
um and that's because even though it's a slow read, I clearly took a lot out of it. I don't know if I'd give it a 5 star because I think for me it has to evoke emotion and be a not easy read, but like I
Mm,
want to pick it back up.
okay.
So then I gave it the 3 just because of the slow read aspect this time, but I do think for me it's a true 4 because I think it's a great story, the writing's great. I think for me the 1 star gets docked down because it's a slow read that I don't necessarily want to rush and pick back up.
Hmm.
I think I was only thinking of that aspect when I gave it a 3 star and not so much considering like the conversation we just had. I think this conversation and like how much it actually made me think, I remembered that from this conversation. And so I think I will give it a true 4 star.
Okay.
So I'm glad
Okay.
we talked through that.
Go
You
team
know,
go.
go team go. So yeah, I mean, I think this was a good like way to end off our little Halloween extravaganza.
For sure. Yeah. It was a
um,
nice little nightcap.
yeah, no, it was. It was. Um, so I was gonna start saying what to expect next from us, but I don't know. Am I allowed to? Like, no.
Well, why would you?
Just say like the next episode, like hunting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh God. Well, yeah, we can talk about that for a second. So we'll definitely dive more into this discussion when we do this episode. But the next book we're covering is Hunting Adeline. I have many thoughts on even why we're doing this. Long
Or
story
like what
short,
we're expecting.
I don't even want to say that. I have no idea. I expect nothing but horrid, horrid things. Um, Basically, like a little tiny spoiler alert, which I will have many more thoughts on this conversation. You guys are sick little freaks, and like for some reason, that episode has done extremely well, and so we feel obligated to read the sequel. And I'm upset with you guys. Like, I
I mean, like
and like on
this conversation happened literally was like Jamie was like, I don't understand how this is one of the best episodes we have, like most views.
and now it's
And
on like all platforms. Like I don't understand you guys.
yeah.
I'm upset. I'm disappointed. um, so regardless, you guys really, really liked Haunting Adeline. So yes, we will be cover Hunting Adeline. I'm already angry with you guys. I don't really want to talk to you.
I don't it's not really their fault though, if you think
It
about
is.
it.
It is their fault. It is their fault. It's okay. I still love you guys, but I'm a little upset. And you know, I think I'll have even more to say about that next episode because I'm sure it's gonna just be even worse. It's gonna be even worse. I opened the book already to like start getting ahead.
Uh-huh.
And the claiming the fucking warning is like this book is worse than the first. I was like, are you fucking me? Like what?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Anyways, so we'll chat. We'll see you guys for that episode. Can't wait.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for tuning in, and
So excited.
all right, calm down, and we'll see you next week.
I think we're back to 2 weeks now. I think Halloween we just kind of went crazy.
Yeah, true.
We said we were doing every other week, and then Halloween hit, and we were like, JK.
Yeah.
So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks for Hunting Adeline.
Yes, we'll see you there. Are we square?
Right. Bye, guys.
All right, bye.